remember it like it was yesterday. It was 1988, 1989, and I went into the local card shop with my dad. The card shop was called the Boys of Summer. In fact, the last time I checked, it was still around. And the dealer there, Kevin, was telling us about somebody he knew had bought a fake Don Mattingly minor league Columbus Clippers card. And it was the first time I had ever heard of a counterfeit card or a reprint card. And the dealer, Kevin, was telling us about how this person had spent a couple of $100. Now, at the time, Don Mattingly was one of the giants of baseball players. I think it was a year or two earlier, he had hit 6 grand slams in a season or something. And Don Mattingly's 1984 Donruss card was like a Grail card for a lot of us. And I remember hearing about this fake card that somebody had been swindled out of, and it was a minor league card. And at the time, what it did is it made me go, minor league card? Why would anybody want that anyway? This is a minor league card. It's not put out by Topps or Donruss or Fleer. Why would you want a minor league card? And so it kind of left an impression on me. And for the next 10 years during my collecting, I would see minor league cards at shows, but I just stayed away from them because I had this negative feeling about minor league cards and that they weren't really cards. They were like fake or something. Well, this Don Mattingly Columbus Clipper card, it was really like a promo card. It was a really flimsy card, and we ended up getting some for a couple of dollars each. And they weren't really like real cards. And so my impression of minor league cards was that they were just promo cards. They were just fake cards. But that's not the case. They're legitimate cards. When I came out with a video the other day and I was talking about scarcity, supply and demand, one of the things I talked about is the junk wax era was a weird era because there were so many cards produced. And that's why a lot of the cards are going to have a hard time ever being worth all that much money. Even if they're old, even in 40 years, if there's still a huge supply of them, I don't see the values doing much. And somebody reached out to me. It was actually 3 or 4 people reached out to me and said, you're forgetting about minor league cards. Those are the hidden gems from the junk wax era. Minor league cards are extremely rare, have an extremely high demand, and are very, very valuable. I just didn't really ever follow them. So I started researching them. I started reading about them. I started looking up prices online. And they really are some of the more valuable cards from that era. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take a look at minor league cards from the junk wax era, from the 80s specifically. And we're going to look at, they really have a following. They really have a short supply. And some of them are really, really valuable. So if you want to collect cards of the players from our youths, for those of us that are junk wax era collectors coming back into the hobby, maybe minor league cards are the answer. Maybe those are the option we should go for before they start to creep up in price. Let's take a look at what I'm talking about. I think this is pretty interesting. Check it out. Tell me what you think. So the forgotten Grail cards of the junk wax era might just be those minor league cards. It might just be the cards that I, as a kid, just completely looked past, and maybe others did too, because they weren't coming out of packs that I could open. Here's that Don Mattingly Columbus Clippers card I talked about in the opening. It really is just a promo card, and it's not a legit card like so many minor league cards that are out there that are legitimate cards that have a legitimate following. And I really think that junk wax era collectors that want to collect cards of their heroes, of their favorite players from their use, should consider looking here. So let's look, what were the real Don Mattingly minor league cards? Well, in 1981, he has a Nashville Sounds card. In 1982, he has a Columbus Clippers card. And there were two 1982 Columbus Clippers cards. And a lot of the times when there would be, a team issue set or a minor league card like this, the manufacturer or the sponsor, you could even see the Arby's sponsor in the 1981 card. A lot of the times, that's the way to differentiate it on who the sponsor was of the giveaway or the producer. So again, we have 3 Don Mattingly cards, and you go, okay, well, how rare are we talking about? Well, the first one, that 81 card, there's only 683 that have ever been graded by PSA. And only about 250 have gotten 9s or 10s. Now, if we look at one of the two of the others, 213 of those have ever been graded. Now, have they not been graded because they're rare, or have they not been graded because of the value? I don't know. Less than 300 of the other card from 1982. So the 3 of them combined, there's a little over 1,000 that have ever been graded. Now, again, grading does more than just give a grade. It also authenticates it. Now, not a ton have been graded by SGC either, or the other ones. So what do they sell for? So the 1982 Columbus Clippers, the TCMA one, recently sold for $190. There was a best offer on that Police Columbus Clippers, so it went for under $100. And then the earliest one, the 1981 Nashville Sounds card, that one sold for about $70. So the Mattingly is still pretty affordable, but what happens if he ends up making the Hall of Fame through a Veterans Committee? These could be really valuable. Now, I don't know how it's going to play out, but that's Mattingly. How about Rickey Henderson? Rickey Henderson has 2 minor league cards. One is from 1977, the Modesto A's, made by Chong, and then a TCMA of Rickey Henderson as well for the Ogden A's. Now, these 2 are graded by PSA, and the one on the right is a really nice looking card. You can see the Chong version. I mean, that's a really faint black and white card. I could see if somebody got that card not thinking, oh, I need to hang on to this. Well, you're about to see in a second just how rare these are. So again, on the PSA population report, if we look at the Chong Modesto A's card, there are only 37 that have ever been graded. That's insanely rare. Now, of those, there's a 4, there's a 5, there are 12 6s. The other one, the Ogden A's card, that one there's about 1,000 have been graded, and 40 of those are in 10s. 429 are in 9s. So if you have one in a 9, there's only 40 on Earth that have been graded higher by PSA at least. So you say, well, okay, what are these worth? Well, check this out. The 77 Modesto A's, there has not been a recent sale, but there's a whole team set, and that Rickey Henderson was graded in a 6. They're asking $7,000. There are 46 people watching it. The 79 TCMA Ogden A's card in a 9 recently sold for $270. But that 1977 Modesto A's, 46 people are watching, and it's asking $7,000, and it's a PSA 6. These things have some value. Now, how this plays out, I'm not really sure. But check this out. So Cal Ripken has two. One of his two is a Charlotte O's WBTV card, and the other one is a Charlotte O's Police. Now, they're more commonly referred to as the blue and the orange. Again, I just started researching these recently. I read a couple of articles about these. So you got the blue and you got the orange. Now, these are very rare. The blue one, there are only 73 that have been graded by PSA. 3 of those are ones. One's an authentic. 3 are a 1.5. 4 are a 2. 4 are a 3. 10 are a 4. Very few in decent condition. 0.9, 0.10s. Now the orange, there's only 26 of them. So between the two of them, there are less than 100. And you know, Cal Ripken's one of the more popular players from the junk wax era. And there's a lot of his rookie card out there. There are not a lot of these out there. So what do these sell for? So check this out. The 80 Charlotte O's, the orange, in a PSA 5 was signed. They were asking $25,000. Well, I could ask anything, right? It sold for $18,000. The blue's in an SGC 3 sold for $1,300. So there are people out there that are willing to pony up money for these minor league cards. Now, I have to believe if they're selling for $18,000 and $1,300, if someone has one in their sock drawer, they've either sent it in to PSA or they don't know what they've got. All right, Ken Griffey Jr. has a couple of minor league cards. He actually has a few more than a couple, but the 1987 Bellingham card, you'll see the Bellingham Mariners on the left, and then on the right, there are a few different variations of the San Bernardino Spirit card. The Platinum seems to be the key one, the more demanded one. And when we look at the Bellingham Mariners card, there are about 3,250 that have been graded. You know, 788 of those were 10s and about 1,700 were 9s. And then the other one, the San Bernardino Spirit card, this is the Platinum version. There are less than 300 out there. And we know how popular Ken Griffey Jr. is, and we know that the most graded card of all time by PSA is the 89 Upper Deck Ken Griffey Jr. So there's millions of those out there. So the Bellingham card in a 9 recently sold for $199. But check this out, the one that is more recent but rarer, the San Bernardino card, in a PSA 7 actually ended up selling for $425. These have value. So Derek Jeter has a couple of now a lot of Derek Jeter's cards, because he was a high profile prospect. But these are, in his high school days, these cards. But the Little Sun, the 1992 Little Sun Derek Jeter cards. Now, one of them, that signed one up there, there's 27 that exist in PSA holders. 27. So what is the real Derek Jeter Grail card? The other one, the unsigned one, there are about 1,000 of those. Only 60 have 10s, though. Although 551 received 9s. But 27 of the signed one, that portrait pose there. So if you're a Derek Jeter collector and you want the ultimate Derek Jeter card, which one is it? So in a 9, the one that the population's about 1,000 sold for $213.50 about a week ago. And then the other one,
in a 7 sold for $3,000. This is like a whole new thing that, it's new to me. It's new to me. A lot of you have been like, what are you talking about, man? These have been around for a long time. I've been collecting these for years. So Roger Clemens. Now, Roger Clemens has a Pawtucket card. I've seen this card. I was a huge Roger Clemens collector as a kid. And the Pawtucket Red Sox card, I saw all sorts of times. And there are less than 600 of those out there. No 10s. Less than 40 or 9s. Now, I have about 150 different Roger Clemens cards because he was my guy as a kid. I never got a Pawtucket Red Sox card because I just didn't think it was legit. But it is. So an 8 recently sold, like this week, for $135. So it really brings the question of, if you want a Grail card of a player, is the Roger Clemens Grail card an 84 Fleer update? Or the Pawtucket Red Sox card? Minor league cards might be the real Grails.